Old school construction architect with an ego. So this dates back to 1998. I had been working construction for a year as a drywall finisher, spreading mud, when I was offered a job on a big crew. Only reason they wanted me was to be a translator between English and French. I was good but not fast or great at this point, but hey, $18 an hour was good money. We were working on a 5-story building. It was the first time I really had seen just the bones of a building. For those who are unfamiliar with this era of construction, I'm going to give a little background on how it worked on sites this big. Each company had their own construction trailer. No one really had email, so each trailer had a couple of phone lines and a secretary. This building was for a real estate company. It was to be their headquarters. It was designed by an architect in New York as a favor to the owner of the building. So here's where the problem goes. My boss Al, had all the framing, hanging the drywall, finish the seams and acoustic ceiling tiles with metal grid. Al goes to the general contractor, GC, with an issue on 3rd floor training room. Al, we got height problem with 3rd floor ceiling. GC, what wrong now? Al, he's got it at 4 feet off the floor. GC, wait, what? Al, yeah, both ceiling reflected plan and elevation shows 4 feet off the finish floor. If I scale it, it would be 12 feet. GC, yeah, that don't sound right. Go ahead and send an RFI, request for information. Back then RFI were different than today. Usually meant someone was going to have to pay. So Al faxes over the RFI and marks it urgent. When RFI comes back, they were sent to both the GC and the subcontractor. So I'm sitting with Al and the GC just chatting around, and both secretary come out to the site, almost running with high heels through the debris, and both with shit-eating grin on their face. I'm thinking, oh shit, this should be good. Al and GC, slow down ladies. Where the fire? GC secretary, you got an urgent fax. Al secretary, we got the RFI back. Looking at the other secretary giggling. They look at their paper, then look at me, and GC reads it out loud. RFI #XXX from Office of a Whole Architect Inc. Urgent request information of discrepancy on ceiling height from Alland office about training room. 4x. Answer: how hard is it for you construction workers to understand never scale anything? I don't make mistakes. Refer to page A804 for detailed height instructions. Q. Malicious compliance. GC. Well, Al, what does A804 say about ceiling heights? Al. 4 feet, bud. GC. Hey Frenchie, do you think you can translate that to the ceiling guys? And tell them it's a hot priority, I want it done by Sunday. Al. You eared him. Tell him to drop what he's doing and go to it. Me. 10-4. I go to the guy and they greet me with a tabarnak, French-Canadian cuss word, are you nuts kid? I tell them what had transpired and told them that Al said to make it 4 feet. They grumbled, saying they would charge to do it again. Now this training room wasn't your typical space. It was 300 feet long by 40 feet wide that could be separated to make multiple training room or one giant one with folding partition. Monday come, GC instructs the electrician to install all the lights as per prints. Yes, even his prints had 4 feet notation. Typically we would wait for electrical inspection, but we didn't. By Wednesday the crew is putting tiles in. Saturday comes and there's an owner meeting where he walks the job site with GC and talks about progress. Everything is going good till he gets to the 3rd floor training room door and sees a bar 4 feet from the ground and all the wires for the ceiling is in plain sight. Owner. What in the hell is this? Don't you know how to read blueprints? GC. Yes sir, we do, and we did. We also sent an RFI. Shows him the facts. Owner grins. Yeah, he definitely has an ego from hell. Do you have everything documented, pictures and all? GC. You know it. Owner. Okay, smart ass. Now do it at 12 feet. 4 feet from the deck. You're making 20% on this screw up, aren't you? GC. 20% to the build invoice. We're going to have demo crew come in. Then all new material plus the crew already said it's going to be 50% upcharge since we're preventing them from going to their next site. Yeah. Just be happy it's not coming out of your pocket. Because the architect gave wrong information and it was built as per his guidelines, he had to fork out a few thousand out of his pocket to us dumb construction workers to fix his mistake. Learned 2 valuable lessons that day. Point 1, always do as you're told, no matter if it makes sense. Except when it endanger a life. 2, document everything no matter how trivial, it will cover your ass. I wonder if the architect still goes around telling people who ask questions I don't make mistakes. Or if he learned his lesson. Somehow I still doubt he thinks this is his fault. Great story. A middle school I worked at had a major remodel one year. The architect thought that the same size cubbyholes for the kids' backpacks that they specified for the kindergarten kids would be acceptable for 12, 13, and 14-year-olds. The principal pitched a fit and got it changed. They had other mistakes that got left in, making the new pretty room much less useful than the older, uglier room. Not nearly as entertaining as your story, but further evidence that architects are not infallible, no matter what they think. When anyone asks for clarification on something you did, double-check it yourself before acting like a grade school child about it. How hard is that? It saved me more often than I want to admit. Engineers hate it when you tell them their drawing is wrong. Happened all the time at the phone co. And even more since I started doing commercial data cabling, rolling on the floor laughing MC Gold. Wow. Actual malicious compliance. This is a new trend for this sub. Keep it up on 10 out of 10. Damn. 12,000 SF of fuck up? I mean at $10 per FT that'd be $120,000. And that'd probably be on the low end. There's never enough time to do it right, but magically always enough time to do it over. This is one of the best of these I've seen. Kudos. And legend says this architect has found a new niche designing apartment complexes and fucking over delivery drivers to this day. I also work in the construction industry. There are many knowledgeable designers out there. But unfortunately there is a lot of copy-paste when it comes to specs. This leads to mistakes where incompatible items can be specified for instruction. Some architects rely on the contractor to point out their mistakes via RFI before the bid date. Sometimes architects use interns to finish parts of a spec which usually ends up being wrong. That being said, new construction is a monumental task which requires all parties involved communicate clearly and often in order to avoid costly mistakes. That would have been more than a few $1,000s. Dad was also a drywall business owner. He would do estimates on the weekends on the paper plans. This was in the 1970s. And I would write down the size and sheet count. A boring task for me, but on one set of plans he's making some noises of disgust and he finally throws down his ruler. The stall doors in one of the public washrooms were so close to the wall you could only open up the stall doors halfway. Known fact. In construction as well as many other professions, If you do what you're told, you will make a lot more money. Reminds me of blueprints that have both metric and imperial on them. Such a pain sometimes. A few thousand to redo a 300 feet by 40 feet room? What's the construction company? They sound cheap AF. Is it good work though? To be a fly on the wall when the architect had come to the realization that he did, in fact, make a mistake. Tabarnak esti te tufu, is how I imagine the Quebec greeting tears of joy. Yup, always point out the mistake and then if told to put it in wrong or right, just put it in. Pretty sure any screw-up that blatant means the workers are doing better reading the blueprints than the architect was at drawing them. Do we have our next fun level malicious compliance? In this case you had to do as instructed after clearly pointing out the massive flaw in the design. But generally just doing exactly as you're told when you know it's wrong and will cause a major headache for everyone involved, including you, is a terrible attitude to adopt. Part of being a contractor who continues to get work and is valued as politically making the design team or management understand the issues on site. After all, it's your expertise that landed you the job in the first place.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Aircast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.